All good? Ready to go? Turn my voice up a little bit. Oh, got that. Everyone watching, the whole family.
Are you ready to go? Barry built a pier in the house that I built, in the booth that I built.
I know people tune in every Sunday to listen, but even when business is good, we still manage to do the podcast.
Right, Barry, behave yourself. It's podcast 219, a deep dive into Canny.
Oof. Take the lid off
Deep
first.
dive. There you go. So we're going to talk about Canny, nutrients, soil, mediums, and you might ask some questions about other nutrients.
It's
It's not fair, is
I'm
it?
just going to listen. I'm going to ask you everything.
No, don't just listen, man. It's boring. You just sit there, whiff on your
Biodegradable
pen.
bottles?
Not yet.
They will. Canada will be first. Set the standards.
Ooh, I think somebody like BioBiz will be first myself.
Do you reckon?
Yeah. BioBiz, organic, they'll be first. So, I can't wait to get these cameras back on because Barry loves fucking acting a dick when there's no cameras. And when the cameras are on, he's well behaved. You get loads
I
done.
just died behind the mic then.
So, Barry, a deep dive into Canny. But first of all, we've got to talk about the partners.
Yeah, man.
Last week, it was Bud Box Grow Tents. We did a deep dive into tents and why you should buy proper quality tents, not cheap. And Bud Box came up trumps. Top trumps, Donald Trump. Bottom Trump.
Zip up Trump.
Zip up Trump. What's that?
It's just a big box.
All right, a zip up Trump.
Pole Trump.
Really good tents. If you didn't listen to last week's podcast and you're a tent grower, make sure you do it because as Barry says every week, in the manufacturing industry.
What?
What do you say every week?
Big box. Heavy metal in the heavy metal industry.
No.
No.
Something's, no.
What does it
No.
say? What
I
does
can
it
tell it's going to be one of those podcasts, isn't it? Where he's just fucking after
What
a
do I
pillar.
say?
Bud Box tents, the best grow tents in the tent manufacturing industry within the Bud Box tent manufacturing industry, something like that.
Proper players.
Yeah. So that's Bud Box. Thank you very much to Bud Box.
The major tent manufacturers in the tent manufacturing industry.
That's the one. There you go.
See, lad. That's all you have to say.
There we go. Autopot. What you put in a tent, you put a system. And we put autopots in there.
Put a gravity fed system in it.
Gravity fed.
World's #1.
5 mil aperture.
You're on it, lad.
You're on it, lad. if you're just wondering what the fuck are these two bellends doing today, who is he? He's this John Mayer, and he's a Liverpool actor. He owns like a barber shop, and he just takes the piss out of Scousers, and he is a Scouser and all the stereotypical Scousers, and it's funny. You need to watch it. I think like we like watching it. I think people who visited Liverpool and see all the different range of Scousers that you can get. He does them all. It's hilarious. Jamie, what's going on, girl? Brian nearly made it on, you know.
Yeah.
He'll be on soon on the podcast. He nearly made it on. So you need to send more messages. I think he only got like 30, 40 messages. And he needs more. We were saying, lads, you're going to get hundreds of messages. He's like, you only got 40. I went, well, fucking hell, come on, that's enough. 40 messages.
I'll get him on here.
But you need to send more. Stop being lazy bastards and send Grandad MPK a message.
Yeah.
He said he's not coming on till he gets 100 messages. So there you go. 60 more people, please.
He'll entertain you. You won't want us back. You just want the Brian show.
Yeah, we'll have him on soon. So, Autopot Watering Systems, 5 mil, the new 5 mil float valve doesn't miss a trick with the organic. You can use BioCanna, you can use BioBiz, all heavy hydrotops, big gunky shit. You can use it in it.
Tarmac for it.
Yeah, you can. And they've got loads of systems. So check out the YouTube channel, Autopot UK, and go and have a look at all the systems on offer for you. And check out the website as well. They've got everything you need.
Who's next?
Well, Box, Autopot. The whole show's on Canna. So we have got Canna as a partner, but the whole show's on them this week.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about them.
What about Can,
fan,
filters.
and filters and controllers. Yeah.
I like it.
And inline filters and intake
And
filters.
The new air one.
The new Erwin.
I'm just throwing it out there as Erwin.
Erwin. Oh, wonder when he can come back to the UK.
Wow.
He missed out on that steak.
Yeah, man. Missed out big time.
Yeah, man. Missed out on the steak and the wine. Oh, we had a wine connoisseur sit with us as well.
Yeah,
He came
yeah,
with the
yeah.
restaurant. He sniffed the wine, told us about the chocolatey overtones.
Before he ordered steak, he needed to see it, the Wagyu.
He
He
did,
wanted
yeah.
to see the Wagyu.
The
Okay,
way-
can I see it? What grade is it?
Yeah, yeah.
And all that way, innit?
Yeah.
What grade is the steak? Don't pour the wine yet, just leave it to sit and let it breathe for a little bit, please.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, proper wine and beef connoisseur.
Oh, yeah, it was
Come with every
fantastic.
table, but he just sat on our table that night because we were special. Yeah, there you go.
He was everywhere, innit?
He was.
Don't pour that wine, please, love. You've only just opened it. It needs to breathe a little.
Thank you.
What grade is the steak anyway? Yes, can you bring it out?
We'll
Can we have
see
a
if he
little look at
listens to these podcasts.
Yeah.
Aye, we'll see if he gets a
it?
little
I need
face
to
on
see
it.
how mature it is.
Please, thank you.
That
And
fucking mature. I put a fucking defibrillator on it, you dickhead. I'll fucking come alive again.
polish me fork, please. It's got water stains on it. Anyway, who else have we got? You're talking about can filters. They've got the original, which is the 24-month filter. They've got the lights, just a 12-month filter. They've got a new website,
EC fans, AC fans,
controllers.
inline fans, they've got everything.
They have everything you need for your intake and outtake extraction needs. There you go. You can use that on an advert. That was a delectable tones of me. Who else? Oh, fucking hell. Rock, paper, scissors, Barry. Sunlights. We have got Sunlight LEDs. And still selling well in the shop. Very surprising.
I'm not surprised.
I am.
Why?
I didn't think they'd do that well when the temperatures got cooler.
To be
But
honest
people
with
are adding to them.
you, yeah, they're good.
Like they are having maybe mixed rooms, HPS, ceramic metal halides.
Still
put them
works.
in there. Still works great. You just need to add a little bit of heat sometimes, but working great. And
I think it's better though that when it gets to winter and people are using sunlight, I think it's better to have HBS to get the heat up, because not only are you getting the heat up, you're getting the light in there as well, more intense light, rather than just putting oil-filled radiators in there. Do you know what I mean?
waste of money.
Waste of money, waste of energy, waste of lechi. But I know 600 watt high potential sodium still big lechi, but at least you're getting the benefits of the
Yeah,
light,
yeah.
not
Yeah,
just
you're
the
getting more
heat. You're
food
getting
out.
like double bubble, isn't it?
Yeah, you get more food out, or more herbs, or you just get more yields
Yeah, you're
of
getting better
everything.
yields, aren't you?
Yeah.
And you're keeping your heat up.
And I've heard that they're replacing the M30 for the Q1. I think that's going to land on the UK shores
I
very
think that'd be
soon.
better than you're keeping everything like
In
Q1,
line,
Q2,
yeah.
Q3, Q4, and then you'll have the RS Q5 and the RS Q6. and the RS
Imagine, yeah.
Q7, yeah.
That'd be quite good, that the RS
Fucking
Q6.
hell,
You throw it into your grow room, goes dead quick. It makes a sound as well. It's not silent, the RS Q6s. They like...
That's a car, not an LED, lad.
No, it's that sound like taking a... Have you not heard? They're making the RS Q6s. And that they come with sound effects.
Shut up.
You can't do it. It's great. It's it.
His dickhead's putting that mic against his throat.
I
Like
see-
fucking hands around his throat in a
I've
minute.
seen, what's his name, Lee Evans doing it on his comedy sketches.
can't
It's
do it.
hilarious. There you go. See, it's funny, isn't it?
Like something off Halloween.
Yeah. We'll do
We're
that
nearly
next
there.
week.
That fucking petrified the life out of Brian.
Well,
this
it's only...
week.
Oh, lad, I've got a boss idea, you know.
Oh, I'm going to terrorise the
Drone. I'm
bastard.
going to get the drone up. Fishing wire off Jalal. A witch hanging off the end. And as he leaves work, when it's dark, I'm going to chase him with the witch.
I'm
And her
just gonna
eyes light up.
terrorise him. I am going to
Her eyes light up and he's going to shit himself. It's going to be funny. We'll record it for everyone.
He's gone out and bought a new car. Bought himself a new Mini. Midlife crisis, Brian. And he's only gone and covered it. And it was a nice little Mini as well. Little pocket rocket. Was. And then he's gone out and bought loads of cartoon stickers and stuck them all over it.
Yeah, Groot. No, I do like Groot. I do.
Fuck off.
But I've got a 4-year-old, so when I buy shit, it goes into the 4-year-old's room.
Brian's gone out and put Groot stickers all over the car.
Yeah.
You fucking helmet.
Yeah. There you go. We'll get him on, we'll help.
Who else?
Gavita.
Gavita.
HPS. Metal halides.
Do you remember when
Metal
Gavita
halides.
used to give boxies away?
No, I remember when J Fox, I think J Fox had them made.
Did
They
he?
were good. You've got a pair.
Oh, I had a pair. They were nice.
What do you mean had a pair? He binned them.
Yeah, Belly and Bind.
And I've got some boxes like hung up in frames.
Stood up on their own.
Stood up on their own, yeah.
You don't want to know about your boxes, neither do the listeners, mate.
They're framed up there.
Fuck that.
Some good times there.
Shit stains.
Oh, no.
Skiddies.
None of that. No. What are we saying? Gavita. Gavita lights. You're on once. This is what happens when we do a late night podcast. It's been busy in the shop. Been busy in the shop, so this is a late night podcast for us. Gavita, HPS. You really need to go onto their website, gavita.com. Just Google Gavita, it'll come up. And go through all the different shades, the HR shades, the wide angle reflectors, the different, whether they've got 600 watt HPS, 750s, 1000 watts, then all the ceramic metal halide versions. They've got their own selection of LEDs, which they're more commercial, those LEDs, though. They're used well in America. And if you're in America and you're in a commercial installation, they work out well for you.
Who next?
Garden Culture Magazine. Oh, did you read it that quick?
I read it. I'm like Johnny Five. Remember that film?
Johnny Five is alive. We need to add all these sound effects to our
Sound
ones.
of knowledge.
Oh, yeah.
Sound of knowledge.
I'm not going to sing. I promise you this
But I've
episode
stopped writing
won't
for
sing.
them, so it's just full of adverts now. Money.
Well, that's everyone, isn't it?
Yeah,
that is everyone. So, let's get into the podcast.
What's this? Not out this month, is it Garden Culture? Next month? Was it this month?
The Hydro Survey Awards. Yeah, it's out.
Is it out now?
It's out.
Is it? When did that come out?
What do you mean? Is it? Oh, it was out when you were off.
Oh, was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
No one told me. No one dropped the magazine through the door, didn't it?
Yeah.
Horrible use, lad.
Yeah.
Go back to the shop and get one in a minute.
It's good. Good.
Don't tell me.
We've got 10 awards to give out. We're purchasing the awards as we speak. We're going to get all of the awardees. I really wish this was videoed, you know.
I know one or two people who have won. Have you named any of them?
Yeah, Budbox.
Yeah.
We talked about them last week,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
And they won best tent and favourite tent. Most sold tent, all that.
Doesn't surprise me.
Doesn't surprise me either. And that was a bit of a what's the name award that time, wasn't it? You're just going to try and do that all episode? Come on, let's get into it. Let's give them some value rather than us just chatting shit.
I reckon they just like it.
Just like what?
Just listen to
They
our
probably
voices.
do. They probably do, but we do need to do some actual content, yeah. So we're going to talk about Canna. We're going to kick it off with base nutrients and no, not just base nutrients. Actually, we're going to talk about all nutrients and all medias. So I've been on the Canna website and I've been finding out a little bit about what they've done and where they've come from. And Canna are just the dog's bollocks, aren't they?
Yeah.
Aye. Nearly unchanged recipes
In the
for
dog's
years.
bollocks industry.
In the dog's bollocks in the dog's bollocks industry. So Canna are just, we always ask why are Canna number one? Would it surprise you that they won most awards in Hydro Survey?
Nope.
No, because they just don't know what it is. A mixture of things. Is it consistency, great products, great marketing, good people? People are just, it's been around a lot like that long.
They were just here first and nailed it, didn't they?
But other nutrients have been along for around
I
for
know
a long
that,
time and don't smash it like
yeah,
Canna.
but that's
What is the reason?
because it's good.
Yeah.
Because it's good. It's been here for a long time and it's good.
And it's here for a good time as well.
It's yeah. Yeah, that as well.
So, did you know?
Some of the nutrients not here for a long time. They're here just for a quick good time, aren't they?
Yeah, splish and a dash.
Splash and a dash.
Yeah.
Get
It's a dip the toes. That's it. Canna here for the long game.
Yeah.
And you know what it is? They do good marketing as well. They look after the shops. They look after the end users. People moan about the prices, but it doesn't seem to matter that much. Like a lot of shops moan about the price of Canna Boost, and then it's, oh, you've got to sell it cheap, and this shop sells it cheaper, but you can't not sell it. It's one of those, and I know that Canna are working very hard in the background, figuring out solutions to this problem, and you just got to leave it with them. But it hasn't come up for a long time, has it? It's one of those things now, you just get on. We put our price up of Boost a long time ago, a couple of years ago, didn't look back. And in our shop, it's 180s. So £180 for a 5 litre. When we were trying to compete, it was down to 160s. And we just thought, you know what? Bollocks to it. If you don't want to support us, our shop comes with good knowledge. Let's just put the price up if you don't want to pay it.
Who works there?
we're looking to employ some new people and who've got good knowledge. So, did you know that cocoa? What do you know about cocoa, Basil? Basil in cocoa grows really well.
Let me tell me. I'm learning. Me tell me.
Well, no. You always look at me and say, "Don't look at me in the eyes. I know all this stuff." So I'm gonna look at the
Coconut fibres. Mate.
coconut fibres. Leftover material from the fibres have been removed from the edge. You know what's called the bolster of the coconut? That's the proper word, the bolster of the coconut. And
That's the inside, isn't it?
yeah, no, just the
shell.
Yeah, the shell. And Canna did a lot of research into it on the new medium at the time. And during its launch, Canna was the first company to introduce RHP certified Canna cocoa to the market. You know what? I used to think it stood for Royal Horticultural Practice. I'm not so sure now though. But it's basically means it's weed free. They check the source and they check every process along the way until it hits the bag. And if it's free of weeds and contaminants, it gets the RHP certification. But can it go a step above and they buffer and wash and make their cocos really good? The first description of cocoa comes from like 1100 years ago. Arabian traders in 1290 by Marco Polo talks about extracting fibres from coconuts. So it started that long ago. And then 1862, John Linley, who's a botanist, he started introducing working with cocoa peat and had really good success with it with roses. But it's sort of because they didn't realise about washing the salts out and they had a bit of trouble with it, it sort of got left. Canada did some research and they washed the salts out, did some trials. They worked with strawberry growers, tulip growers, all kinds. And the feedback was that the root growth is much better. It holds water for a good amount of time without being saturated. It holds nutrients well when it's buffered. And you do tend to get high yields and you can actually even get really good quality if you look after it properly. One of the main people in, in Holland, the Netherlands, the whole country, was one of the top strawberry growers, said he's never seen yields like it. And even the consistency, the quality, the sweetness of it was much better in cocoa. So Canna just went balls out. 1996, brought it to the market. And they believe they are the pioneers of cocoa in the industry. They brought it to the market. So that's how it came about. Rose cultivation was 1986. And that's sort of where it all sprouted from. 1993. They needed alternatives for peat moss, and that's what we're talking about. That's your terra stuff. That's your kind of terra professional and your professional. It's all peat moss, and we'll get to that later. But they wanted alternatives to it because peat moss it's not, sustainable. We will eventually run out of peat moss, and it takes millions of years to grow, yeah. So people needed to look for new substrates, and they turned to cocoa, and the first one was in Germany, 1996, produced by Canna. The German market was a good success. Canna launched in the Netherlands in 97, and the rise of cocoa has been unstoppable. At the end of 2000, 35% of roses and 40% of strawberry fields in the Netherlands were cultivated in cocoa. And cocoa has gone up by 15% per year from 2000 to 2015.
Price?
No, in sort of the amount of people using it.
Oh.
And it's just
I'm saying that in our industry now, it must be 90% cocoa.
Yeah.
Do you think?
Probably a little bit less because you've got hydro and soil. If you talk about like hydroponics being rock walls and just DWC, pure water and pebbles.
If you had 100 random growers in the room, I reckon.
In the UK?
Out of the UK, if you picked up random
75%.
So 75 people would use cocoa.
Yeah.
Probably makes sense.
And then you've got your hydro, which is your pebbles.
You've got a few rock walls, a couple of pebbles, bit of
soil. And all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's a massive. It won hands down as well. Hand feeding in the hydro survey in cocoa won massively. So they've got the Canna Cocoa Professional Plus. It's cocoa-based grow medium and gives you a lot of advantages compared to other substrates.
So what's the difference between Canna Natural and Canna Professional? So
Canna Natural is pretty much unadulterated. It's not been buffered a lot. It's not been washed as many times as Professional. It's a lot closer to its raw form than the Professional.
So it's still got salts and stuff in it?
Still got a little bit of salts in it. But when we talk about salts, you've got to sort of distinguish as well, because there's good salts and bad salts. Bad salts, like your table salts, your sodium. So a lot of coconuts are grown by, coastal countries. So there's a lot of sea salt within them. You need to wash that out because plants don't like a lot of sodium. And the other salts, though, you can get nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium salts. They're good salts. They're what your plants want. So when this is another thing in cocoa, when people say it's got a really low EC in the cocoa, that's not really a good thing or a bad thing. When people say it's got a high EC, like the Cocoa Professional Pluses will have a higher EC than natural. Do you know what I mean? Because it's been buffered with calcium, magnesium, a bit of trace elements, so it will have a higher EC. Yeah, so because cocoa loves to hold on to nutrients. With natural, it's a cheaper cocoa, and people who are on a budget might buy it. But if you start adding the A and B, it'll hold on to some nutrients, so you could get some deficiencies in natural.
Soil, though, does it?
No, it doesn't. That's called the cation exchange capacity. That's how strongly soil or cocoa holds onto its nutrients. Soil, massive, high CEC, cation exchange capacity, will hold onto nutrients. That's why you've got to use a soil feed. And in cocoa, it's got a low CEC. So we'll still hold on to nutrients, but not as tightly.
So that's why with cocoa you feed all the time.
Yeah.
And with soil you don't see feed water, or the other
and then in rock, that's why you've got different feeds as well. You've got terra for soil, you've got cocoa for cocoa, and you've got your hydro and your aqua for different versions of hydroponic growing.
That's for like DWC and stuff like that,
exactly,
isn't it?
Yeah. And then run to waste. Yeah. So you've got to give your plants different nutrition depending on how available the nutrients are at all times.
And what media you're in.
Yeah, exactly. If you buy the better medium, then everything's just going to come together better. You've got Cana Cocoa Plus, Professional Plus, and you've also just got Cana Cocoa Professional. The difference between those two is the Plus has it's a pure organic product with very even structure throughout, full buffering, eliminating any of the side effects of growing on cocoa, like consuming the nutrients. It's free of viruses, soil diseases because of the production process. It's got a very complex water to air system that provides ideal conditions for growing your plants. And Cana Professional Plus can be used quite a few times, to be honest. So use it once, you can repot, throw some Canazyme through it, get rid of them dead roots, use it a second time, and some people even use it a third time as well. Yeah. But it's not advised to use it too many times, more than that. It's 100% cocoa flakes from Indian coconuts, and doesn't actually touch the outdoor ground at all. So it's not like they go around picking up coconuts from the ground. They pick them off the tree, and it doesn't actually hit the ground. So you're getting really good high quality, and that's how they get the RHP quality mark on it. The buffering process allows them to pre-program the medium to a certain age. It means you get the same consistency, high quality material time after time. So you might think, what if we use young coconuts or old coconuts? Will they pre-program the cocoa so every batch is the same, and you know that you're getting the same throughout every time? You got to use cocoa A and B though as your base nutrient. Now, cocoa A and B used through veg and through flour. They've got the A and the B because calcium and phosphorus mix if they're in the same batch. Yeah. So you'd add your A first into water, mix it up, then you add your B, mix it up, and you'll be fine. If you'd ever try it, add like 100 ml of A, 100 ml of B together, you start to see it go dead cloudy. For a couple of hours, you'll start to see salts on the bottom. That's the calcium and the phosphorus. They're called precipitate, not the solution. And it's actually, you'll know this, plaster of Paris. That's what it forms. And it just drops out unavailable to the plant. So that's why we have A and Bs in them.
So does it matter if you put your B in first and then put your A in afterwards?
No, just got to go in separately.
It's just got to go in separately.
Yeah, they say add the A in first, but I can't see it's not making a difference, is it? No. You'd add your B in, then you'd add your A in. But to be fair, I've never actually tested whether it has an effect. I wonder does the A have an impact on the pH? Does the A
does it
stay stable, 7, and then you add the B, and then it drops the pH? Or does it drop the pH first? You know what I mean? It could. You just be better safe than sorry. Add the A first.
Yeah.
I might find out actually whether it makes a difference.
It's always baffled me that, It has.
Some people do ask.
Just little things like that though. Like even me, I haven't got the answer to it. It's like, no, it's just in separate bottles because they sort of react.
Yeah.
If they were in the same bottle, you can't.
If it was taken,
I don't know. Diluted before, but like I've never looked at it like that where one of them could settle the pH out or make the water available for the bee to go into.
Yeah, that'd
So
be
it
my
doesn't
guess.
combine.
Is that
Yeah.
if you added the B first and it dropped your pH when you add the A, it might not like being on such a high pH. So it might
The A
drop
might
out.
have something in what settles the water for the bee to come in.
Yeah.
Nice.
Let's
Have a little look into that,
find
won't
out,
we?
don't we?
Let's
Yeah.
find out about that.
So yeah, there's your Canna B. So if you in cocoa, you have to use a cocoa nutrient. I'm not saying you have
And
to
it
use
is
Canna.
hands down one of the best base nutrients on
It
the
is.
market.
It is.
is.
A lot of most other base nutrients are copied from Canna.
Yeah.
And
I
it's
don't blame
stable.
them.
Yeah, because why would you
Good.
move away from
yeah.
what is a perfect recipe?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Everyone's trying to master that recipe,
Yeah.
if not make it better.
But what I'm saying is, all nutrient manufacturers will say you have to use our range completely and solely together.
But I've heard that as well, though. Is Canna cocoa and soils and stuff like that buffered to their feeds?
I imagine it would be, yeah.
So if I bought, let's say, the Dutch Pro feed,
Yeah.
and I mixed it and I used it in Canna Natural
Yeah.
or Canna Professional, what sort of effect is it going to have? Because is every company that's got a media and a nutrient buffering them to each other?
So when can I make the cocoa?
Because we know, hands down, hundreds of people who walk through the door every day will buy Atami, DNA, all the different medias, but they all buy Canna A and B.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, they do.
So is it having a massive effect?
So when Canna buffer their cocoa, so in the professional plus, they'll run a certain amount of calcium nitrate or magnesium, calcium, what do you call it? Can't even think now. When you run calcium and magnesium through to buffer it, there'll be a set amount in the cocoa. So when they
So then the other
test
set amount is in the feed.
cocoa. Yeah. And
so if you're
they'll
using a
match it up
different
nice.
feed,
Could be too much or too little.
yeah. So you're better off when you use a feed is use the.
If you're starting off, if you're a brand new grower, you use the full range. Don't start mixing.
If you're a
and
brand new
matching.
grower anyway, the only feed that any good shop would give you straight away if you were brand new out there is Canna.
Yeah. Because it does it for you.
It does it for you and it's easy.
Yeah. And it's very hard to make a mistake consistent.
It's a beginners and intermediates and a professionals and a fucking top experts fucking feed.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. So yeah, it's hard to say. A lot of people do mix and match nutrients and say they get great results. I can see why the nutrient manufacturers say just stick to our recipe. They don't know what
When
everyone
you're
else
at
is
the
doing.
expert level, then you can use like the Canna monos and all that, can't you?
Yeah.
That's like expert level. That.
Get on this though. You could actually, what was it that we were trying to do? Jason from Autopop put me on it. He was like 3-part. You'd add more of your micro when you add more nitrogen. You want to add more of your grow when you need more nitrogen, more of your bloom if you want more phosphorus or potassium, more of your micros for your trace elements and other things, and you can actually do shots of PK.
So
actually,
I've heard this with the A and B. You can actually put less of the A and more of the B, and then at certain times in the plant's life, you can put more A than B and more B than A, and you can adjust both of them
exactly
for what you want.
Yeah. So
Like I've heard people saying, I've never done it myself. I've always kept them equal amounts just because it works and you never have a problem, deficiencies or anything. But I've heard people, just as they're coming into flower, they'll start to drop off on the A a little bit and put more of the B in.
Yeah.
Because the B's got more in it.
a bit more phosphorus in it.
Yeah.
The A's got
which
more
is what you want
calcium in it.
more in flower. But and then they'll stabilise it again on like week 3 of flower. But for the first 3 weeks of flower, they'll adjust the
Move
A.
it about
They'll
a bit.
bring the A down because it's got less nitrogen and then they bring it back
Have a
up.
look on the back of your bottles. It actually gives you the ratios. So you have loads of nitrogen in the A and a bit more phosphorus, potassium in the B.
But we're not telling you to do
No,
this.
don't do it. If you're not into just
Even I
tinkering.
don't do it, but I know expert growers who do it. And when you're on their levels, it's like
You're on IBCs. These are like scientists that are messing
these are
with
like
the
people,
plants.
yeah.
And they
Not
wouldn't go out buying PK because they can manipulate.
These are people in the Netherlands and stuff
Yeah.
like that who we speak to who are doing this sort of stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But it's just interesting what you can do with base nutrients and what you can get from it. So if you are on cocoa nutrients, you do have to use a cocoa feed, because we've had a few people buy cocoa and then they'll buy a soil or a terra nutrient, or they'll buy soil and they'll try and use cocoa. So what happens is, if you're putting a cocoa feed, which has got a lot of nutrients in it, because as we said before, cocoa doesn't have can't hold on to nutrients. If you put cocoa
As
feed
much
into
as
soil, then you'll overdo it. You'll overdose and you'll get toxicities. If you put a soil feed into cocoa, you'll get deficiencies because there's slightly less nutrition in a soil feed because it's intended to go into soil. So some people, I've heard people go, no, it's my recipe. No, it's not your recipe, mate. It's just, you think you're tinkering and you think you're a boss grower because you're using terra in the cocoa. And it's like my little secret method. It's not a secret method, mate. You're just being a bit of a dick. Do you know what I mean? Use cocoa in cocoa, use soil in soil. Mess about with your additives. Have a play about. That's where you can tinker. Don't tinker with your A and B. It's your base nutrient. It's your foundations. So there you go. So we've got Terra Vega and Flores and kind of soils as well. So let me cough because I've got this little frog in my throat. One
Come on, we'll do it together. Gets a bit dry when you do it.
It does. It's a bit dry. We need a humidifier. We need to check out VPD. Yeah. VPD, mate. You're on it, lad. You're on the VPD.
Have to buy one, lad.
Yeah, buy one with a humidifier controller. Right, pot and soil. So suitable for cultivating short cycle crops. And the three most important things that are taken into consideration when you're sort of getting a soil: pre-fertilization, the structure and the pH. So good pre-fertilization, solid pH, the most important things for successful harvest, because your pot and soils, your rock walls, your cocoa, three most important growing medias for fast growing plants. The big advantage that soil has though is that it's very easy to work with. So pot and soil, or your terra, I should say, is principally biological and natural, which accounts for its good big popularity with organic growers. That's what they like to use. When it's used in combination with can of nutrients, there's no residues left in the soil, and it can be used as a soil improver outdoors when you're finished with it, or you can reuse it again. It's got the reputation of being biological and natural, but it's not entirely justified because it's got certain elements in it, such as perlite and mineral nutrients that have been through a process. Perlite, inorganic material produced by industrial processes. So even though if you wanted to be truly organic, you wouldn't use perlite. But having said that, if someone said, I don't use perlite, I'm an organic grower, I'd be like, turn it in, lad. Do you know what I mean? Just don't go too far.
What would I say to him? Pots have you got, lad? When he went 20 litre plastic ones, I'd say, you're growing in plastic pots.
Yeah,
you
oil.
Fucking knob. Dickhead.
Yeah. And he does say it to them as well. No wonder we've
come back when you're growing in a fucking egg carton, dickhead.
So peat's quite interesting. And I mean,
who's Pete?
Pete, P-E-A-T. Pete's actually the head of canna. He is also very interesting. But the history of peat. So you've got different layers. You've got the upper layer of peat. You've got the sphagnum moss peat, which is like a browny layer. Then you've got coloured peat, brown, and garden peat, black. So it's about the way that all that formed, and the reason we said it was unsustainable to keep on harvesting it is about 12,000 years ago, when we had glaciers everywhere, and the last stage retreated, they left a lot of barren, empty land, no nutrition anywhere. As the first bits of vegetation developed, they died off, they formed the first layer of peat, and this is what we know as the dark layer, it's the lowest layer. So after a long period after that, between 6,000 and 3,000 years ago, more and more black peat formed, and it marked the beginning of the new formative period where white peat goes on top. They've got intermediate layers above the peat, and then they've got grey peat and upper peat. So you've got
like a lot
layers.
Of peat, mate.
It is. It is. It's a bit too much peat, to be honest. But the reason that that's important is because the kind of professional use the best peat, the darker peat, and that's another one. Sustainability in organics. Peat is not sustainable. It will go eventually. It takes millions of years to produce.
It will run out.
Or I should say hundreds of thousands of years to produce. Yeah, it'll run out. It's like oil. It's a natural product. So if we keep on harvesting, it will run out. Yeah. So there's things out there where people are putting things into play which will conserve peat and make it last longer, and only taking certain sections of it. Do you know what I mean? But that shocks people when the organic growers going, yeah, we do it for the environment. You're full of peat, mate. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And to be honest, I'd like to see how an organic grower would get on in cocoa. It might sound mad, but I'd love to see, I wouldn't mind having a go of a full organic run in cocoa and see what happens. It's much more sustainable.
It's being done.
I know, but you wouldn't do it. Do you know what I mean? You wouldn't naturally think to do it.
Right.
It might be where to go. Just because cocoa's, like, it doesn't hold on to nutrients and it can be leached out, washed out. With organics, you need the microbes, you need full of life to break down the organics. Do you know what I mean? It's a slow process. Soil helps with that. It'll hold on to the nutrients as they're being broken down. Cocoa, you'll just be flushing them out. So you probably get deficiencies if you grew organically in cocoa. But it's not something I've done. Not something I've heard people do. Maybe you've done it, listening. Send us a message. Let us know if you've ever done it, if you've had a success with it. The reason, though, that soil sells so well is because it's easy to use. Does the pH for you. It's very hard to over or underwater because it'll hold water, but it's also got good drainage because they've had the perlite. It'll hold on to nutrients, so it's hard to get deficiencies or toxicities, and it sort of handles your pH as well. It'll move the pH to areas where it needs to be. So even though cocoa will probably get you better yields, sometimes better quality if you're very good with it, soil is the better medium for beginners who've never grown any plants at all, or who don't want to put the time in. Do you know what I mean? If they just want to think, yeah, I'd like to grow a plant, let's see what happens, throw it into some soil. If you want to be hands-on and really go all in, put it in some cocoa, but make sure you give it the attention that it needs. So Terra Vega, you've got to use soil nutrients with when you buy soil. And Canna's version is they've got Terra Vega for them veg and Terra Flores flower. So you've got to use the two. Some people cross over. They'll start to add a little bit of Flores in the last couple of days of veg, ready for the plant to flick over. That's another thing that you can do. It's a full professional nutrient, though, developed for growing in pots or pot mixers and can be used indoor and outdoor. Your Terra Vega is brilliant for producing the large green leaves, good for root development and strong, powerful growth. Easy to use, dissolves directly, no residues. Complete absorption of water and feeding from the start of cultivation because it's high in nitrogen compounds that can be absorbed directly. High value iron, chelates and trace elements. So it's giving the plant everything it wants from the beginning. And it's also very suitable for different type of pot mixes, such as pre-fertilized pot mixes or pot mixes that's nutrient deficient or has been used previously. It'll recharge them all. Yeah. Canna Flores, again, easy to use, dissolves well, prevents the binding of nutritional ions. So as the soil starts to get a lot of nutrients in it from the Vega, it'll help prevent that, help prevent lockouts. Availability of nutrients throughout flowering is very important as well. You don't want lockouts at that important time. Specifically, it's very good for fruit formation, contains all the nutrients the plants need during the flowering phase, and has got a high concentration of chelated trace elements available immediately, which guarantees you bigger yields and your lavish flowering recipe. So soil, use it with Terra, Vega and veg, Flores and flower, and you can use any additives now. So whether you're in cocoa, whether you're in soil, whether you're in hydro, all the additives,
everything goes in.
Match up perfectly with everything. So that's sort of, I've got a few notes here on the benefits of Canna Terra Professional Plus. If you're wondering what the difference is, each grade up is just better buffered, better quality, more nutrients in it. So if you've got your Terra Professional, you've got Terra Professional Plus. The Terra Professional Plus is basically just got more in it and is a higher quality grade. Medium, yeah. So that's it. That's the cocoa and the soil. Next up is the hydro. So this is, you kind of do a hydro A and B. Made for growing in systems where the drain water is not returned to nutrient tank, but just drained straight away.
Run to waste.
Exactly. The good advantage of these systems is that the plants get fresh nutrients every time, not reusing anything, it's just brand new every time. If you're susceptible to disease, it reduces this because it's just your fresh water, fresh nutrients every time, and it runs away. That's the benefit of it. So it minimises your risk of disease. Substrates are mostly inert, so it's your rock wools, it's your pebbles. They don't add or take away any nutrients, so you can grow with a lot of precision. You can really give your plants what they need. Open hydroponic systems is what they tend to be called, or run to waste, like you said. And you need to use Canna Hydro. So hydro, you know what? My mind's gone blank. Is it Hydro Vega and Hydro Flores, or just Hydro A and B?
No, it's Hydro.
It's Hydro Vega, isn't it? Yeah, Hydro Vega and Hydro Flores. That's it. Mine went blank then, it is, yeah. So Hydro Vega, again, same as soil. It's in the veg, the growing phase, and the Hydro Flores for in the flowering phase. The Flores is available for plants and consists of the correct composition of nutrients when you're feeding every time. So it's going to be slightly less concentrated than your aqua because it's constantly giving it to it. Yeah. Is that the right way around? Actually, you know what? I get this confused. Hydro and aqua. Hydro's. Oh, you know what? My mind's gone blank again. Which one's more concentrated? So hydro's giving it to the plants.
The run to waste one is more.
Is less. It's more concentrated, isn't it? It is. The hydro's more concentrated. The aqua is less concentrated because it's always there. Like DWC, you'd use aqua, wouldn't you? Yeah. So it can't be as concentrated yet. That's it.
I hope so. If we're wrong, let us know.
I know it'd be embarrassing, wouldn't it? No, I
think it's right.
That is right. Yeah, because you use aqua in DWC, and you wouldn't want it to be too concentrated because they're always there. It's always available, isn't it? Also, Hydro Flores takes into account that less nitrogen is needed. But an increased need for potassium and phosphorus down to the complex science of ability to uptake it. But it's made specifically for when there's not a huge contact time between the roots and the nutrients. Again, same as all the other nutrients. It's got loads of chelated trace elements, highly absorbable, and gets you ready for a big bloom. Mm-hmm. Cannon Aqua, that's your DWC systems, your flood and drain systems. So if you're using IWS, multi-flow, V3, any DWC system, this is what you should be using. If you're using, here's an interesting one. What should you be using in autopots? Would you use kind of Cocoa A and B?
I'd use
Would you use Aqua?
I'd use A and B.
Cocoa,
yeah. Because it's flooding it, isn't it?
It's just like base. It's just the bottom feeding.
It's like bottom feeding.
Yeah. So
what becomes the difference then when you're in V3?
I know.
And it's cocoa?
And it just, you're in 60-40 and it's flooding and draining.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe because you're irrigating at very set times, you're telling the plant, like you're irrigating a lot, aren't you? So cocoa's got more nutrients in it than your aqua. So with Autopot, the plant just takes it up when it needs it. So you need to make sure that the nutrients are there all the time.
Are you sure it's not for like IWS when you're in just Pebble?
Yeah, you definitely use it then, the aqua range. But that's an interesting one. Would you? So Autopots would probably say just use cocoa.
Yeah.
But in an IWS system with 60-40, would you use cocoa or hydro or aqua?
I don't know. I'd say cocoa's got a good stance.
Mm-hmm. I'd probably say it's up to you to choose. If you feed a lot and your plants
drink, done a bit more research into this podcast, you know, Stu.
No, these are questions that just pop up, aren't they? They're not things I've thought about, to be honest.
If you're in Pebble and you're in,
it's got to be aqua.
System, it's got to be aqua.
Yeah,
because not.
You've got to feed
Pebbles
every hour.
Get wet and hold a little tiny bit, but they'll dry rapidly.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? So
dodgy.
But if you're in 60-40, you just straight cocoa in one of them.
If you're in straight cocoa, you'd use kind of cocoa.
But even if you were in 60-40, would you?
Well, it depends how often you prefer to flood and drain. So if you flood and drain a lot,
what would you use if you were in a 70-30? With perlite?
I'd use a cocoa because you probably only get to do that twice a day max. But with 60-40 in a hot environment and you're flooding and draining a lot, if you use cocoa A and B, you might overdo it, the nutrients. So if you're flooding and draining a lot, like you are in Pebbles, I'd probably switch to hydro.
Let us know what you do.
Yeah.
What works for you.
What would Canna recommend?
What would Canna recommend? And if he's had problems of, maybe nipping and blockouts and stuff like that.
Try something else. Do you know who does? I think these are the only company that do it. 60-40 feed. So that's
Gold Label.
Gold Label brought out a 60-40 feed. So if you're feeding systems, that might be the way to go. Gold Label 60-40 feed, because it's the best of both. It's a mix between the cocoa and the pebbles. It's made for 60-40 specifically. It knows how much nutrients that particular medium needs. Gold Label invented the 60-40 mix. So that might be worth a shout. Go right down the middle. Go for a 60-40 base nutrient feed. Not something that Canna does, so they might recommend a Canna or a high or an Aqua.
They'll have their specific whatever they use.
Have their perspective on it.
Yeah, because they do have a 60-40 as well.
They do, yeah. Actually, the Canna and the Gold Label 60-40, they're both called 60-40, but they're flipped.
Yeah. Isn't Canna 60%?
So I know Gold Label is 60. No, you know I'm going to say this, and no, I've got my computer right here.
Nah, Gold Label is 60% pebble, 40% cocoa, and Canna is 60%.
It's the other way around, isn't it?
It's the other way around. I'm sure
Let's
it
have
is.
a little look on their website.
I'm sure it is, though. One of them is. I know they're flipped, but I just don't know which way around it.
That's another one that, you know what, this should be the podcast called The Things That Always Get Stay, because I'm always caught out by
Why
them.
is it? Phone a friend.
Should we? I haven't got my phone on Bluetooth, otherwise I just phone somebody. Should we get Grandad on the podcast? Hey,
Ring him.
should I ring him? We'll do that at the end. We'll keep you listening. Right, 60-40.
What is it?
No, you can't. You need to. I want to get him actually on the podcast.
How are you going to do it?
60 pebbles, 40 cocoa in a Gold Labels.
What is it?
60 pebbles, 40 cocoa.
Yeah. And Canna is 60% pebble.
Cocoa.
Cocoa.
40% pebbles. So it's flipped.
Yeah.
So make sure you keep that in mind, depending on which substrate that you buy. Where was I up to there? Oh yeah, so the advantages of Aqua Flores is that it's got, Aqua Flores, I didn't know this, but it also contains silicon.
Yeah, I knew that.
Did you?
I did. Genuinely. Do you know what was talking? Me and Jalal.
Me
and Neil were talking about it the other day.
I like Neil.
Me and Neil were talking about this the other day.
Yeah.
And it has.
Has it now?
Yeah.
That's because Neil is constantly on these websites and likes to find out all this sort of stuff. So yeah, they're your base nutrients. And I've got Y add A and B nutrients as well in my notes, but we've talked about that already. So, hydro for run to waste. Aqua for your flood and drain or your hydro systems. Cocoa goes into your cocoa. Terra goes into soil. Make sure you're using the right base nutrients for your media. It makes an absolute world of difference. You've also got the big four and the little four, the additives. So, you've got your Canna Boost, metabolism enhancer, a true boost. A lot of other products call themselves boosts, and they've actually got PKs and all other bits in them. They're actually mineral nutrition. It's salts. Canna Boost has none of that. Doesn't register on the EC stick. It uses high grade seaweeds. It's got tricantanol in it, which is a PGR, but it's a naturally occurring PGR. You can get it from. That's what it comes from. Is from seaweed. Yeah. A lot of other plant enhancing.
So don't
hormones.
say it. Rephrase that then, because you said then it's a PGR, but
it's a good PGR.
It's a good PGR.
Naturally occurring.
Yeah, it's a good one to have, because you know that they're using good quality seaweed to get it, to get
natural
that.
Ingredients.
Yeah.
Boost is one of those things. The reason Boost sells so well as such a high quality product is because the metabolism enhancement. I'm trying to get words out here. The metabolism enhancement allows the other nutrition that you're giving it, allows it to uptake it a lot quicker, a lot easier. And it's like when we go for a run and we can eat more and we have more protein, more carbs, build more muscle. That's sort of similar to what the Boost does. Yeah. It's a very good product and one of the only true boosters out there. You've also got use Boost. You can use Boost throughout veg and through flowering, but because it is a little bit expensive, most people think it's a bit of a waste in the veg period, but it will actually increase your veg time. I do
actually know people who use Boost 2 weeks before they go into flower.
It's a good idea, because it really does.
To be honest, I'm saying I know people, it's the same people that I know who are just the A and the Bs. It's the people who are just like well ahead of the game, fine tuners.
It does increase your metabolism. It's because of the seaweed, it's going to reduce stress. So that transition stress that you get, it's great to use Boost for a couple of weeks before you flick. But Rizzo is also very good. Derived from seaweeds, brilliant root enhancement tonic. It's extra nitrogen. It's a root development product. It's quite a few products all in one. and use that all the way through veg in the first few weeks into flower. You got your PK. The thing with Cana's PK is that it's highly concentrated phosphorus to potassium. It's a 13-14, which, if you don't know, means quite a lot actually, because getting the concentration of P and K that high and still be soluble is a very hard thing to do. And that's why Cana take it. It might seem like a simple product, but it's actually chemically very, very hard to do. So when you actually put that product into water, there's a hell of a lot of P and there's a hell of a lot of K in there. And if you add it at the right time, like Cana...
They say now, though, don't they, on the bottle?
Switched it.
Yeah. It used to say like weeks 5, 6 and 7 or 4, 5, 7 or whatever. Now it's right the way through.
Yeah, it says from the onset of flowering. I think that's more due to people don't know when to add it. So they say week 5. Kind of really want you to give it in week 5. And what they mean by that is from at that point when you start to see the flowers swell, they need more phosphorus and potassium. And that's exactly when you should give it. See these scientists and the people you're talking about, they don't look at a feed chart. They'll watch the plant, see the flowering site, see when they're getting bigger, and then add exactly what the plant needs when it needs it. That's when you get the most explosive growth, and that's when you get the best yields. But because it's very hard for people, just don't watch the plants. So kind of said, listen, from week 3, which is when you're really good plants, that's when some will start. Some plants will start week 4. The majority will start week 5. Some stragglers might be week 6. If you add it from the onset of flowers, you've got a good chance of getting the PK in when you need it. But if you want to take it to the next level, only add it in a nice big dose when you see like the flowers starting to swell, and you'll get the best results from it then. And then you've also got Canazyme as well. Now, they're doing a big push on Canazyme at the moment because not enough people use enzyme products.
I think that's because people don't understand it, and people, what I get a lot of in the shop is people say, yeah, but I only grow for 10 weeks, 12 weeks. Do we really have to get rid of all them roots in that time to make space for new roots? And it's not just about that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So when you imagine when you first get that taproot coming through and then the fine little micro hairs, it's not about dissolving roots. If you look at a root structure, it's the micro hairs on the roots. And you know, this is a big part of growing that not a lot of people care about. But see those micro hairs, they take energy to produce and are very frail. If you run your finger along a root, you're destroying them all. That's where all the nutrients are taken up. Like the root, they don't go up like a straw at the tip of a root. Those fine micro hairs, that's where all the action is. If you destroy them when you're transplanting, the plant's going to go. That's why you get transplant shock, because you get them, you fuck about with the roots, you might shake off all the cocoa. You're also pulling off all the micro hairs. You're throwing into the bigger pot, pile all the cocoa on. That's why you get transplant shock, because the plant's fucking hell. You've just taken all my straws away. How do I take up water? How do I take up my nutrients? I'm a bit fucked. Give me 10 days. Let's do some new micro hairs and let's start again. That's what your transplant shock is. So take care with them. Canazyme, those micro hairs, they don't last forever. So they will die off and the plant will produce new micro hairs. So what Canazyme does, breaks down all those dead roots, tips and micro hairs, allows the plant to uptake that again as nutrients, prevents pest and disease really. Pest reduces disease mostly, but does reduce pest as well, because see that dead material, it rots, and rot attracts flies, it attracts pests and attracts disease. So you clean all that rotten material away, get the plant to reuptake it, more nutrients, cleaner substrate, just a much healthier. It's like my car gets a bit messy sometimes, and you know when you give it a good clean out for it, like one of those not incense sticks, fucking hell, that's Brian. When you put one of those magic trees up, you give it a hoover, good clean down. You drive around thinking you're the boy, don't you? Like, oh, look at me. What's going on, girl? Do you know what I mean? Put the windows down, play the summer tunes, feel good. Well, that's what you want to do to your plants. You want to make them feel good. You want your male plants going, what's happening, girls? No, you do not want that. Don't get them fucking males out of there. But that's what Canazyme's doing. So they're the big four. Your Boost, your Rizzo, your PK, your Canazyme. They're your important ones. But you've got another four, which not a lot of people talk about. Canastart. Now, people think I'll just use lower amounts of A and B when I start.
That's not the same.
It's not the same.
It's not the same.
Different ratios.
Yeah, everything's different.
The ratios.
That's like saying, oh yeah, just the newborn there, we're all eating Sunday dinners.
Yeah.
Just give the newborn just a spoonful of mash, a spoonful of carrots, a spoonful of that. No, mate, come on, you soft cunt. You don't do that. Know
Good
what I
analogy,
mean?
that.
They want fucking proper baby porridge and fucking...
Everything, yeah.
The proper
you want
milk
everything
and-
in the right ratios.
Yeah, fucking idiots.
Barry goes so harsh. You're a cunt.
No, but that's just the easy way. If you said that to anyone, then they'd understand. As it is now, they go, well, that's just food in that bottle, so I'll just make it dead weak. All right then, lads, yeah. Well, when it's feeding time and you're going to Mackey's, I want to see you feed that 2-month-old fucking McDonald's.
Just a
But
quarter of your
Just
Mackey's.
a quarter. Just, you know, let them suck the gherkin. Fuck off, mate. Taking the piss.
You could have used a
Do
better
you know what I mean?
vegetable than
No, you know what I mean? No, don't let them drink the full milkshake. Just let them, just a little bit, mate.
Yeah.
Only 2 months old, fuck's sake.
Can of start's dead important. Everything in the right ratio is perfect feed for babies, for plant babies, I should fucking say. So start using that. If you want to get the best out your plants, give them the best start in life, use Can of Start. Go to the complete opposite end of the spectrum. Can of Flush.
Yeah.
It's not a miracle worker. You can just use water, but Flush will dissolve those excess salts in the pot, push them out the system, and even though it's called Can of Flush, you know, we like to call it finish because you're not flushing anything out your plant.
No.
You flush it out the medium and you're finishing your plant. And did I say this the other day on podcast? We've always had this debate, haven't we? It's like flushing.
It shouldn't be called flush. It should just be called finish.
Yeah.
Because you've spent all this money on putting nutrients into your plant.
You don't just flush it
You don't
out.
just want to take it all out. It's gone. It's in the plant. It's done. You're not going to
It's
fucking
been
flush it
used
out.
up. It's like when you go to the gym and you take a protein shake. Do you ever think to yourself, you know what, I'm going to drink 2 pints of water and flush all that protein out of me? Doesn't happen. It's been used.
Protein's
It's
gone.
muscle now. It's leaf, buds, flowers, fruits, whatever. So it's important. But some people say, well, you don't see flushing happen in nature, do you? Like, you don't see the farmers going around with the water hose with just water.
That's because there's no one there to do it.
It's called fucking rain.
Yeah, it's called rain.
Rain, autumn.
No, but we had this
Pisses down
debate.
rain.
No, we had this debate.
Flushes all the
day.
nutrients out.
What happens if it doesn't rain?
Well, it's different parts of the year, different parts of the world
Well, I've got
will
you
have
there,
different
though,
crops.
No,
They'll
but
have
what
different
happens if it
crops.
doesn't rain?
Then you're producing a cactus.
No, but genuinely, what happens now? We go
Maybe
past the cabbage field. It's been lovely. They've got the sprinklers on and
Yeah.
they're throwing nutrients
Well,
everywhere.
you just said it,
and-
haven't you? They've got the
No,
sprinklers
but,
on.
No, but it's like nutrients, isn't it?
No.
In there.
No.
They come round, they fertilise. No.
You just, Barry's got me out there. Shit,
I
Will.
just answered my own question.
You have, yeah. They put the sprinklers on, Barry. But that's how plants know cessation. And
When they're ready to go.
when they're ready to die, the nutrients fall out, get washed away. There's less nutrition in the soil. They know it's the end of the life, and they'll fall. The leaves will fall, and they'll be ready to harvest. So you do get flushing in the natural world as well. So there you go. You've also got Can of Cure, very good product, foliar. You can root drench it as well. It's a preventative. The best use it as a preventative. I wouldn't use it as a cure because it's very good at making the plant's health optimum, 100%. Ooh, like what?
There's better things out there, isn't there?
Well, yeah. There could be.
There could be.
There could be. There will be. Oh, Barry's trying to drop bombs, aren't you? We'll talk. When should we talk
Go
about
back
that
to
one?
Can of Cure a minute. Tell me about
Can
it.
of Cure, foliar feed.
Because the
Root
product I'm
drench.
thinking of isn't the same. It's
No.
not the same.
No.
People get Can of Cure mixed up with,
Because it's saying Can of Cure, and it's not a cure. It's a really good preventative.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Let's see what Can I say about it. Where's their website?
I don't think it's not. It's a cure. Doesn't it do something for spider mite and stuff like that where it changes the colour of the chlorophyll? Is that product?
That's activated by Hydrotops, that one.
Is that activated by
Yeah,
Hydrotops?
that's one of my favourite
Yeah,
products.
they've got a belter product, haven't they, that changes the...
The appearance. It does nothing to us, but
It does nothing
changes.
to us, but spider mite can see the green in the chlorophyll.
So yeah, Can of Cure, in Canna's words, is a unique leaf nutrient that prevents and controls plant pests and mildew. It's environmentally friendly and free of toxins. Can of Cure ensures healthier plants, bigger flowers, and increased yields. Controls mildew, whitefly, aphids, spider mites, mealybugs, full of diseases and pests and parasites. It works by forming a second natural skin on your plants. This layer improves leaf colour and vigour, ensuring that the plants can still breathe, makes them healthy, shiny and clean. And any plant pest will get stuck to the sticky layer so that you won't have the chance to damage the leaves. Eventually the pests will starve to death. Imagine you could get a microscope and it'd be like the Hunger Games down there on them leaves. Combined with all the kind of nutrients and additives, CanaCure will help your plants resist any future infestations and disease. Bit of a mad name then, wasn't it? CanaCure.
Yeah, because
It's
they're saying it cures
prevent.
it. Yeah, that's what it should have been called. A can of preventative.
Yeah. This is
And
a
then
deep
it's a
dive.
can of preventative.
A can of yeah, I like that. Yeah, we should be in marketing. Use it from the beginning of growth until harvest alongside your normal feeding regime. Make sure it's applied thoroughly on both sides of the leaves. Use it once a week as a preventative. If you have a heavy infestation of mildew, whitefly, mites or mealybugs, spray every 3 days and repeat if necessary after a further 3 days, then continue normal spraying. So you can use it to try and get rid of them, it'll just suffocate them. So yeah, that's it, CanaCure. And then last but not by no means least, the nutrient that cures all. You know, if you've got a headache,
Calmag.
faulty leaves,
Yeah, it's Calmag.
mad root system. Come on, Barry, you're not playing the game here. You're supposed to shout Calmag every time. Every problem, it's Calmag.
Every problem that people come in the shop with it. What's happening, lad? What's happening, lad?
You got that Calmag there, kid. I boosted my
haven't
plant over
wa-
it, snapped an arse, my mate said use Calmag. You know, fucking got to understand, kid. We shouldn't fucking take the piss, should we? Aye, especially not to fucking all everyone listening. No, that's true. No, we just take the piss because we take the piss out of ourselves.
Not everyone who comes in don't think that Calmag is going to solve every problem under the sun.
If you go on any blog, it's not just Scousers, it's fucking
it's everyone.
Everyone. You go to any blog, any page on Facebook, if they've got a
I've
deficiency.
brown me plants, give them Calmag, lad.
Calmag.
Brown them a bit more in Calmag, it's laughing.
You've overfed. Give them more calcium, magnesium.
What, lad, you've starved them to death and they're dry as fuck, they're brittle, they're like dust. Yeah, give them Calmag, lad, they'd be laughing.
Did you know that post-harvest, you can give them Calmag and you just start your crop all over again?
Yeah, Calmag, fucking.
Solves everything. Now, on a serious one though, calcium, magnesium, it's got a few good benefits. First one is if you're in Liverpool or other soft water areas, soft water meaning if your EC is below 0.3, 0.4. If you're in London, you're fucked, you've got hard water, that's above EC above 0.4. If you're in soft water, add a bit of calcium, magnesium, it'll increase the EC, but it also buffers your water. So with a low EC water, straight off the tap, your pH can move about and fluctuate massively. Add a bit of Calmag, that acts like a buffer, like kind of do, they add a bit of calcium to the cocoa, buffers it. You can do the same to your waters, your pHs and everywhere. Great tip in soft water areas for DWC, because your pH goes everywhere in DWC, in soft water. So use it there. Also, you've got the interactive chart. I always forget the name. The interactive chart that shows that when you use certain nutrients, it increases the uptake of other nutrients or it reduces the uptake of nutrients. Calcium is a bastard. It stops the uptake of pretty much every other nutrient, including phosphorus. But phosphorus does the same to calcium. So when you're adding your PK in flour, reduces your calcium. So what you can do is you do your heavy PK towards mid-flowering. To make sure you don't get a deficiency, you add a little bit of calcium, magnesium, and it just helps everything tick along nicely. Yeah. Obviously, if you genuinely have a calcium or a magnesium deficiency, you can add Calmag, but don't just be throwing Calmag in for every deficiency or toxicity.
The lecky's gone in the house, lad. Get Calmag in the plants, lad.
Yeah.
Come back on.
Spray it on the electricity meter.
Fucking Calmag.
So that's really, we've gone through the majority of the Canon products there, the big ones anyway. It was a bit of a deep dive into Canon. If you've got any questions, send them into the podcast at NPK Live. Ring the shop, come the shop, ask what you want about Canon. The most sold nutrients in the UK. They're probably one of the UK's favourite nutrients as well.
Yeah. I think even if people aren't using the additives, they're all using the base nutrients.
Yeah. That's just a winner.
It's just a winner. It is. It's a winner.
Any other questions on like other additives? Because this was like it's a Canon deep dive, but any questions on other nutrients? We do talk a lot about it. If you're interested in other additives, go through the last 20 podcasts. There's ones out there. about additives, about base nutrients. We did one. We did back to basics, didn't we? We talked about everyone's base nutrients and the differences in them. So just go through the previous ones, but that was canny, the number one nutrient in the UK, one of the top nutrients in the world, and there's a reason for it. So there you go.
I wouldn't mind getting back into another podcast on...
Bring your mic in, Barry.
I wouldn't mind doing another podcast. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, much better.
Looking over the crowd.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind doing another podcast back on, see the way we talk about kind of cure.
Yeah.
Like proper products that cure.
Okay.
Like proper products that cure.
Yeah. Proper products that cure.
Just a select few that actually
PPTC.
work, because there's a lot out there that don't work and say that they do work and they shite.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't mind doing a podcast just on the select few that do work. And what was the podcast we done? Grow Room Essentials.
Yeah.
Is it what was it called?
Growers Medicine Cabinet.
The Growers Medicine Cabinet.
Talked a bit about them in there, didn't we?
Yeah. Did we name any?
Yeah, we told people to put them in the cabinet, but what we didn't do, because we're not on telly yet, we've turned the cameras off for a bit, is we haven't shown people the deficiencies.
That's because we don't want on his grass and all. We're not social distance.
Where Barry's in me bubble. If you never heard Barry bubble, well, that's why he's in our bubble. We are actually now though. I'd say we're about 2 meters apart right now. Yeah, we're doing well. Tier 3 lockdown. Liverpool.
Shit,
Liverpool.
Oh, get fucking bored of it all.
Hey, should we secretly try and get Brian on the podcast?
Come on, phone
Wait
him
there.
now, dead quick.
Wait there.
What are you going to ask him now?
Just whatever. Just wait there. I've got to go and turn the feature on the.
Say to him.
Yeah, go on. What? You'll be on the call with me.
I know, but just say to him.
Wait there. I've got to turn my phone Bluetooth on, which it is. And then I've got to go and turn on
What are you going
the
to ask?
roadcaster. Well, let's see what happens. I
What
bet
are you
you
gonna do?
when he answers, he goes, "Wagwan bread bin."
Yeah,
Let's just see. Barry, keep talking so it's not just a mad silence.
I'm just thinking of what we can ask him. What can we ask him, Steve?
What do you think? Whatever.
Ask him what he thinks of COVID, and he'll tell you. You need to message him now and get him on the podcast. Like, I reckon he'd have his own show. After Hours with Brian. Stephen, you've left me in the lurch here on my own. I'm starting to sweat. Just ring him and put him on loudspeaker. Just ring him and put him on loudspeaker and say, "Hey, have you heard about this COVID, lad?"
Right there. Oh, you know what it is? Because the podcast is recording. You've got to set it up before.
Say to him, "No, I'm in the car. Got our baby. Don't swear."
What? You know what's funny there though is, like, I remember when I was doing a podcast with Thomas and we were in the Morton store.
I know what to say to him. Say, "Hey, where are you?" When he says, "I'm on my way to Chester," and that, just say to him, "Lad, have you seen the army?" Say
What
the
is it,
army's
Brian
on.
New? Right, we're ringing Brian New.
Welcome to the O2
Oh.
messaging service.
Surely not. His phone's always on.
No, yeah, I'll ring him.
Wait there, Bri. It might just be Bri. I've got. Wait there.
It'll be on.
Ooh.
Yeah, some
What's going on?
wagwaning.
Wagwanin. Where are you?
I'm in my flat. Why?
Have you not heard the news?
What's the news?
Lockdown. Military presence into Liverpool.
Oh, fuck off.
Not messing. The police.
Okay.
The police have said they don't want to do it.
Fuck off. Whatever.
No, they are.
Whatever.
The lad, put the news on now, Bri.
Whatever.
Honestly.
Military lockdown.
Well, if it is, isn't it?
Anyway, how are we?
How are we?
How are we, Bradman?
What are you doing with yourself?
I'm on fucking podcast here and I'm getting fucking recorded or something.
Yeah, you are, yeah.
You wanker.
I told you we'd get you on podcast.
It happened someday and you'll be fucking sometime soon as well. You're an arsehole to pay.
we did try and get Trump on first, but he didn't answer, so we phoned you.
You wanker.
Anyway, say hello to everyone, Bri.
Hello, listeners. I'm the one who won't fucking come on.
Too late now.
We're going to get you on a late night. It has to be like, what's it called? After hours.
Late night with Barry and Steve.
After hours with the boys.
After hours with the boys, yeah. So we just thought we'd dip your toe in the water. We'd show everyone, let everyone hear who Brian is, Grandad.
Tell you what's a good job of wearing up to no fucking good, isn't it?
That's what the good thing about editing the podcast's about. That's why we wouldn't do this live. We could, if you went fucking rogue on
You're
us,
up to no good, fucking
out.
sleeping.
What was that?
You're up to no good, fucking sleeping. Brian sleeps that much that he's actually brought a dream catcher into work and hung it above the desk. Because he sleeps that much.
You know what it's about?
No, Brian sleeps that much. He thinks hibernation's a hobby.
Yeah.
I do hibernate in the office a lot, though, you know. Not as much as Barry, though.
It's winter, mate. That's what it's about.
Brian could sleep on a washing line, mate.
Yeah. Anyway, Brian. Anyway, we're finishing podcast. We just thought we'd give you a little toe dip in the water. And we will be getting you on soon.
Oh, all right, then. That's sound, the boys. Well, enjoy the rest of your podcast, and I shall see you in the morning, obviously.
Take it easy, lads. See you in a bit. Bye-bye.
That's Brian. He was he knew, didn't he?
He did.
He knew.
He's
our conspiracy theorist.
No, he'd be like, I told you, the military, they're here.
Yeah.
They're here.
Got shares in Camel Aid. That's why they're the shareholders.
Yeah.
He goes deep, Brian, doesn't he?
He does. Well, we don't really like talking about this corona shit, but it is half a hot topic at the moment.
It's fucking hot topic, mate. It's out.
I'll tell you something.
There, mate.
I'll tell you something about this podcast as well. NPK Live. Its core will always be growing plants, hydroponics, and we sort of, there's this thing called there's the politics of cannabis. It's like a new plant that's doing really well in America. I don't know much about it. We don't really talk about it that much, but it's becoming hot topics in different areas of the world. So we're going to start talking about cannabis a little bit more, the medicinal, the politics of it all. But we also do want to sort of touch on world events. We want to make the podcast something that isn't just educational, but we want to make it a bit entertaining as well. So you are going to start hearing a little bit difference in the podcast over the next 6 months, where we'll just be having a chat. We'll chat.
We need
shit.
to do the late night ones, don't we?
Yeah, you'll know that the late night ones, but you'll know that what the late night ones are, because if you look at the title of the podcast, it'll say an evening with, and we'll just be talking random stuff.
Shit, like.
Yeah. But it'll be funny because Brian will be on it. So we want to take the podcast to another level, a new set of listeners. But we'll never ever. If you were to give it a number, would say out of 10, 7 podcasts will be growing, 2 podcasts will be on cannabis and the politics and the health of around it, and then maybe 1 in every 10 will be like just a good old chat shit.
Fucking let's
talk about
shit.
The world and what's going on.
Yeah, where's Space End?
Yeah. All that. Stop.
Why does fine rain wet you more?
Oh, the fine rain, that's so great.
The fine rain, that soaks. It's like, nah, mate.
Where's all the white dog shit gone? Where has it gone? Hey, remember there was loads of it.
There's like loads of albino dogs, and there was loads of albino dogs having white dog shit.
Do you know what it was?
What?
CalMag. Extra calcium in the dog feed.
That's it, mate. You ain't giving the dogs CalMag.
There you go.
Hell.
Listen, today it's been a deep dive into Canna.
Yeah.
There you go. With me, Steve.
And myself, Barry.
There you go. We'll see you all next week for podcast 220. I'm going to try my best to make it the Hydro Awards. So we will see. Thank you very much for joining in, listening. Send Grandad a message. Send us a message if you want to know.
Man.
And we'll see you all next week. Love yous. Bye-bye.